Hey guys, so there are few countries in this world which will always surprise you with their advanced thinking and open mind. And one such country is Switzerland. If I ask you that, what's your opinion? What do you think the central governments actually think when it comes to cryptocurrencies? Do they think of creating their own national cryptocurrencies? Your answers will be yes. Probably a governor is what he wants to do. Like for example, recent example was RBI. RBI said, well, listen, I'm going to create my own cryptocurrency, ban Bitcoin. We are not supporting the banks, right? We are coming up with our own cryptocurrency. And this is similar thing that Russia is doing, crypto ruble, and then Venezuela is petrodollar, but not Switzerland. See, you see, Switzerland have a different opinion altogether, according to one of the member from the banking system itself, and she is the member of the central government's board. Right? She's the member of the central government's board, and she, according to her, she says the digital central bank money brings risk. What does it mean? Let me simplify this. So what she actually says that first of all, there is no term called as national cryptocurrencies because it's a grammatical error to call it a national cryptocurrencies. You can either call it a national fiat. So that's a national. Do not try and combine the national and cryptocurrency words together, because national is fiat and cryptocurrencies are decentralized. That means there is no central authority, right? And she also mentioned that the national cryptocurrencies, which some countries are trying to bring up with, she's saying they are more riskier because people can actually get out of that economy. What does it mean? I mean, you can decide not to choose that central money. It's so easy for you. It's the same thing that happened in Venezuela, right? So Venezuela is suffering the same thing. Nobody is actually using that central money, but people out there are using US dollar and Bitcoin, right? Again, none of this is a financial or investment advice. Again, a disclaimer that I always forget. So according to her, so this is what she says, that a government-backed cryptocurrency would make it easier for people to transfer money out of their account if they felt a bank was in difficulties. It would deliver scarcely any advantage. It would not have any advantage, but would give rise to incalculable risk with regards to financial stability. Venezuela is one of the biggest example of that. Right? And this is where the decentralized comes into picture. So what she also mentioned, and this is quite interesting, she says the private sector digital currencies are better and less risky than any version that might be offered by a central bank. The representative of the Swiss National Bank said, digital central bank money for the general public is not necessary. Now, this is another thing. Now, this is for the people who think that in case you want to order, this is basically for the regulators, right? Who thinks in order to run a country smoothly, you have to have a fiat money. You have to have the control on the generation of money. That's not really important. You can still run a country smoothly even if you're not printing your money yourself. That's the example here. She says that digital central bank money for the general public is not necessary to ensure an efficient system for cashless retail payments. She went on to explain why a crypto issued by a central bank could increase the risk of the bank runs. And why is this so important, right? You might ask me, why am I even talking about it? Does it even make sense? Well, the reason I'm talking about it, if you look at the Swiss banks have been one of the best banks in the world over the last, I don't know how many decades, 3 decades, 4 decades, right? They have been the best banks. Everyone talks about the Swiss bank because they have the best banking features. They have the best banking system. And why do you think they have? Because they have so many features. So I was trying to Google a little bit and I said, why Swiss banks accounts are so popular? And what do I find out? It says under the banking law of 1934, it is criminal act for a bank to reveal the name of an account holder. Swiss bank secrecy protects the privacy of the bank clients. Privacy is important. You see what is happening with the Facebook, right? So privacy is one of the integral part of a human life. And there are some other reasons why Swiss bank has been so popular. And this is why I think this is a good lesson for all the central bankers out there in this world. When a best banking system in the world says that, listen, you don't have to have a national cryptocurrencies in order to run an economy smoothly. You can do that without actually having a central national cryptocurrency, isn't it? Astounding. So these are a couple of the features why Swiss bank accounts are so popular, right? What are the points? It says the bank will never let you know, of course, the privacy we have spoken about. Should something happen to your money, they are fully compensated. You are backed up by the safest currency in the world, backed up by the rock solid economy. Anyone can open an account, not just the wealthiest. Now, this is the most important thing in my opinion. Why? Because when you go to a bank, you have a minimum deposit clause. You have to deposit so much of money minimum, right? This is something that we keep talking about when it comes to Bitcoin, right? There are millions of people in the world which are unbanked. Why are they unbanked? Is because there is a minimum requirement. But that's where Bitcoin comes into picture. Bitcoin does not discriminate between who is rich and who is poor. It's as simple as downloading the wallet on the phone and becoming the part of this world economic system, right? And this is why the Swiss banks were the best banks. They are still the best banks in the world. And what is shocking and surprising is that a Swiss banker is saying that for any country, you do not have to have a national cryptocurrencies to run the economy smoothly. I hope that rest of the countries are hearing to this message and can learn from it. Now, this also brings me to a very interesting point, and this is something that I realized. Country's development is very much proportional to the education of the country leaders, the people who are leading that country. And some of the best examples is I want to give you, which I found here in this news, that says Kazakhstan won't ban mining and cryptocurrency. Now, what's interesting is that in 80s, for 80 years, now this is very shocking. I mean, I'm not sure whether you know about this. For 80 years to do entrepreneurship, so if you wanted to do a business in Kazakhstan for last 80 years, that's actually a crime. So it says Kazakhstan was the part of the Soviet Union where entrepreneurship was treated as a criminal offense. Now, can you believe this? Now, entrepreneurship is something which is encouraged in all the countries, and everybody actually encourages entrepreneurship, that you should become an entrepreneur because you're creating something new for the world. But in this country, Kazakhstan, the law was designed in such a way that if somebody thought of entrepreneurship, then they are doing a crime. And now you would say, how foolish is that? But you know what? This is what I realized, that we actually live in that foolish world all the time. Sometimes there are so many regulations and laws in the countries which makes absolutely no sense. Which makes no sense, right? So let's talk about this example. So I always like to give this example. So about a couple of years back, right? So most people asked me that, oh, Bitcoin, is it legal? Cryptocurrency, is it legal? Now, I'm sure there are still people who will ask you, is it legal? So, well, if you look at the internet was not legal at least for 5 years or maybe for 10 years, right? Facebook was not legal for at least a couple of years. But that does not mean that it was illegal. Now, what is legal? Anything which is written in the legal books is called legal, right? But anything which is not written in the legal book, that does not mean that it's illegal. Now, sometimes I do wonder that people might just ask you that, are you breathing? You say yes, but is that legal? Because that's not written in the legal books. So it's as funny as that. I mean, most people in the world are living in the illusion and they only know it's legal or illegal. But there's something, for any countries to write anything into their legal books, they need to understand the technology. So for the regulators also, it took many years before they could make internet legal, because internet still exists, right? Now, so this is what, and this news actually reminds me now what happened recently. So this is the recent development of Kazakhstan. So later on, all the managers and the all the ministers out there of Kazakhstan were taken through some Western education through the Bolash. Now this is very funny. Okay, I think this kind of education is what most countries need today. The leaders of the countries needs to be educated, right? And so what's funny here, I want to show you here. So after they got educated, after they saw what other countries are doing, and then they actually changed the decision. Now they realized, in fact, cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins are going to one of the strongest point for Kazakhstan, because they have the cheapest electricity in the world. So now they are here. It says, I'm not going to read everything once again. So it says electricity rates in Kazakhstan are some of the lowest in the world in the northern regions of the country. 1 kilowatt cost less than 1 cent. The Ministry of the National Economy of Kazakhstan has estimated the express capacity of 3,500 megawatt. So now what's happening? So to cut the story short, now Kazakhstan is going to start mining cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, right? So the reason I wanted to share this story, because there are so many political leaders around the countries which are not educated on the advancement of the technology or what other countries are doing, and they make some decisions which are not in the favor of the public there, right? And you know, there is something here that I want to tell you here. Says, yes, it says, we have witnessed similar precedents in Nigeria and South Korea, where officials with little or no understanding of the currency. Now this is something very similar to what happened in India. Concept. So they don't, with little and no understanding of the concept of cryptocurrency and blockchain, tried to ban them. They got slapped by their country's leadership, never repeated these attempts again. Today, right? So this is a very similar phenomena that most leaders in most of these countries are actually don't understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at all, and they try to ban something like this, and this eventually stops in the growth of the country. So it says that the state of the national bank's governor goes against the state policy and the country's development strategy. The fall president mentioned Bitcoin, Ethereum, and described cryptocurrency as an absolute innovation. $70 billion of the Bitcoin capitalization represents an absolute growth, absolute productivity, and absolute innovation. So now Kazakhstan is going to be mining cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, the same country which at one point of time considered entrepreneurship to be a sin, according to their law, or not sin really, maybe a crime, right? So the country's laws and regulations are at times very funny. And this is what I always set up. What country do you want to be? This is also applicable in our personal life also, right? In our personal life also, we always have a role model. Who do you want to be? You don't want to be somebody who is not living a prosperous life, or who is not living a happy life. Who you want to be somebody who is living a prosperous and happy life, right? And you keep that the role model. Now why am I sharing this? Now, if you know the story of US, so US is coming up with the Bitcoin ETFs, right? So SEC is coming up with the Bitcoin ETFs. They just had a Bitcoin futures trading in November when the prices shot up. I understand there is a lot of manipulation that also happens whenever the traditional investors come in. But at least they are accepting this technology, right? So USA is now coming up with the 2 Bitcoin ETFs are up for grabs, both from ProShare Capital Management and ProShare is comparatively small asset manager, 30 billion USD, right? So sometimes when you are not in the capacity of taking a decision yourself, I think it is best to follow what are the other countries doing, right? Now the question for India would be, what kind of economy they want to be. Do they want to be an economy like US, or do they want to be a economy like Bangladesh? Now, if you look at the Bangladesh has banned cryptocurrency in the Bitcoin, right? So where does India want to be? Does India want to be the Bangladesh economy, or does India want to be the US economy, which is day by day they're accepting this Bitcoin. Now they are trading on NASDAQ, right? So this was going to be traded on NASDAQ. See, the cryptocurrency ecosystem was sent a buzz this week as the US Security and Exchange Commission published a report of 2 new applications for Bitcoin exchange traded fund to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE. So NYSE, in USA, the Bitcoin ETFs are being produced and being to be listed on New York, and here in India, RBIs have some different opinion altogether. So it's really I think the development of any country really depends on the education system of the political leaders or the leaders of the country. If they have the advanced thinking, just something like Switzerland or something like US, they will always think bright. Or else if you have a backward thinking or maybe conservative thinking, then that will take you to the economy like Bangladesh and other countries, small countries, which do not actually understand the power of innovation. And this is something that I posted today on the Instagram as well. So as you can see here, all the other countries are going forward and RBI India here. So I hope that India does take some positive decision in terms of adopting the blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. Definitely want to know your opinion. What do you think about the Switzerland banking system when they decided that they want to have a decentralized cryptocurrencies while all the other countries want to have their national cryptocurrencies? And do you also think the national cryptocurrency, do you think it's a grammatical error? Let me know your opinion in the comment box below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure whether I was able to give my message through these news out there, but I tried my best. So thank you so much, and give this video a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the live in the evening.